So can you kind of reflect a little bit on the team's performance last night? There was multiple times where maybe the offense could get a lead and you had to get right back on the field, and the defense, I thought, did a pretty good job of mostly containing Boise. How did you see it as a defensive coordinator?
First off, congrats to the guys on the big win. That's a hard place to play. I think that's what the 16th loss since 2000. So extremely tough place to play. We're talking to the guys about it's tough to play on the road, and one thing we got to do is be together. Everybody's gonna be against you, backs against the wall, so we have to be together. And I was just proud of the guys, the way that they fought. It wasn't going well on offense at some points. Well, we were moving the ball, but then we were turned over, and then our job on defense is to go put the fire out. And obviously, there at the end, we gave up a blunder on that last drive, and our offense was able to have our back. So it goes back to that same thing about just being together and sticking through it together.
Addison, at the end of the game, when you guys are lining up to kick the field goal, where were you? And you, because the defense is obviously, you're not even, you're probably just watching to see what happens. I mean, what was you going through your mind when Colton's up there getting ready?
I was praying like crazy. They bailed us out. With the way that thing went for us. Thank you with the way that thing went with us on that last series. I was praying that he bailed us out. And Colton, he's one, man. He's different. He's different. And obviously, everybody saw last night that he's a special player. But he just has that grit to him and that confidence about himself. So we were pretty sure that he was gonna make that field goal.
Coach, can you talk about some of the improvements that you've seen from game 1 to game 2 from your defense, and also maybe some things you can maybe work on heading into the Villanova game?
The biggest thing is depth. That's what I think we've improved the most with. That's playing several different guys. That's been good for us early in the season as we go and get through the season, because injuries happen. So we have been pretty pleased with the depth part. Things we need to improve on. One is we need to continue improving on tackling. All right, and then some of our communication has been solid, but it needs to be better as we're getting in line with a lot of, because yesterday what we seen was a lot of shifts and motions, which we're prepared for, but I believe that last game it was like 79 snaps and they did about 52 times. I would say yesterday we played 67 snaps and they moved probably 67 times. So that always creates some type of issue. A lot of teams do that to kind of tame you on defense, but we did not want them to tame us and have us just playing base defense the whole game. And so that's just another aspect that we can continue to work on.
Corey Thornton talked about his ball skills and improving those over the offseason. He had a big pass breakup on 3rd down and an interception. What did you like out of him yesterday?
The biggest thing, Corey's consistent. He's running that, comes to work every day. You know exactly where he's going to be on the field. So I'm pretty proud of Corey and the progress he's made, not only just from last season, this season, but from when we got here that first year. Because he played a lot of games in 20, which we weren't here, but then just to see his growth from 21 to now is phenomenal. So really proud of Corey.
You talked about wanting to get pressure up front on the defensive line, and you guys were able to do that in the second half with Trayvon and Malachi. Were there some sort of halftime adjustments? Did something kind of click for your group up there to get more pressure on Boise State?
Well, the biggest thing, they were moving the pocket early on. So when they're moving the pocket, it's tough to get pressure unless you bring some type of edge pressure. And in that second half, it was a little more drop back. So we were able to kind of settle in and push that pocket a bit.
What do you think about Nikai Martinez? I think he played every snap. He had that big, pass breakup there and that 2-point conversion try that they had.
Yeah, Nikai, he's been doing a good job. He's kind of stepping into the role as a leader for us back there. He's getting everybody lined up. And when it was just me with the defense, I told him, because I got on him, because on that last series, we had some critical errors that it was stuff that we worked that I was pretty pissed about, to be honest with you. And so I got on the guys about that, but I told them don't lose sight of that last play, because that last play really could have changed the whole dynamic of the game if we take that play off. So I was proud of the guys and how they responded. And Kai, he's been doing a good job. I'm glad he was one that could make that play, to break that ball up, to make it a 1-point game versus a 3-point game.
The last blitz call that you had on the touchdown, when you went back and looked at it, what was maybe the breakdown, or did it just not get there in time, or what did you see on second view?
Some things that we have to get cleaned up ASAP. That's a base play that we've run since day one, so we got to get those cleaned up. And part of that is having I talk to the guys all the time about having poise and confidence. And on that last drive, we did not display poise and confidence. We did for the most part of the game, and we was able to respond and rebound when things didn't go right. But the guys, we did not have any poise and confidence on that last drive. But that's on me. We will get them corrected on that, and we'll be better moving forward.
What was your message to the guys? The Boise State running back was all over the place, not just running the ball, but catching and things like that. Over 200 yards, all-purpose yards. What was your message to your guys to kind of maybe keep them from losing, getting frustrated at that? Because you seem to be kind of everywhere on the field.
Biggest thing is do your job. That's all I ask. It's our job as coaches to do the to prep throughout the week and help put those guys in the best possible position to do their job and make the layups. But we got to get the signal off the sideline and take care of our responsibility and the plays that come on.
Did Jordan Mass got banged up pretty early in the game? Do you have an update on his status?
I think he's fine. I know Coach Malzahn probably update. He'll get more updates as we get through the night, and tomorrow he'll probably talk to you guys about it.
Coach, I know situational football was a huge emphasis this all season. Can you just kind of talk about like how does it feel kind of seeing that work out for you in game time situations? Like you talk about like the quick turnarounds from the turnovers and having to get that stop, you know, practicing those things that's showing up for you on Saturdays. How big is that for you?
Yeah, I've been pretty pleased with the guys with their fight. We've given up 0 points off turnovers, and that's tough to do. You know what I'm saying, to be honest, because it's natural human nature. You kind of get down, your head down. But at the end of the day, I tell the guys, we're here on scholarship. We're show up at the game to play defense. It don't matter how we take the field, whether it's at the kickoff, whether it's at the turnover, whatever that may be, how many snaps we're going to play. We're on the field to play defense, and our objective is to stop that offense. And so just have fun doing it. Act like a little kid. When you're out playing in the park, when you were 7, 8 years old, you didn't get tired. You love playing, so have that same mentality now. And I think those guys, they're definitely taking the bull by the horn when it comes to that. So I've been proud of them with that, and hopefully we can keep that going.
You guys were able to stay the night last night in Boise. How much did that help you? Did you notice a difference from the players today from having that night of rest and then getting on the plane today?
No, they were their normal selves, so I don't know how it affected them, if it was positive or negative. You talk to one guy, he said, I wish we would have came home. You talk to another guy, I'm glad we stayed over. So I think it's kind of 50-50.
As you mentioned, there's some things still to clean up, but giving up single-digit points in the first game was, I think 15, 16 in this game. Is there a lot of confidence building up in this group about what they can accomplish as you guys look ahead to conference?
Yes, it is a lot of confidence building, and my thing with those guys is I can take a loss, I can take a touchdown, I can take giving up a third down, but our job is to make them earn it, and that's what gets me when we don't necessarily make the other team earn it. And so just continue to point those situations out to the guys. They saying, this is all I gotta do. This is all I gotta do. And now the guys just better than you on that play. Better than you. It happens. It's football. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the competition. Those guys on scholarship too. But just keep on putting those different instances in front of them when we give up a play because we're not doing our job, we're not communicating. And so I think with that, and then talking to them about just our preparation throughout the week, I think moving forward, we will continue to get better and better each week on the defensive side of the ball.
I know you didn't like giving up that late touchdown, but just was there a moment or a sequence in the game where someone made a big play to get off the field? Was there anything that kind of comes to mind that you were really proud of?
CT interception was big, and then it was a moment in the game, and I want to say we were still down. It was 10-9, I want to say, and we got those back-to-back sacks. That was a huge turning point in the game. We was able, because they were at a point to where they may have, if they got another 5 yards, they could kick the field goal, and that field goal kicker pretty good too. I think he hit his record long the other day, but yesterday. But you had those 2 big sacks back to back, and it knocked them out of field goal range, and they had to punt the ball, and we were able to drive down the score. So I think that was a huge shift in the game right there, momentum-wise.
Coach, can you talk about the depth and rotation and substitution? Like, what goes into keeping those guys fresh? Knowing that you can't go 2-3 deep, but at what point do you make that substitution to make sure all the guys are fresh while also matching the personnel for what you're trying to do defensively?
The biggest thing is really a field thing, and now you go into the game saying, okay, hey, we got to get this guy in the game because he's earned the right to play, or we got to get the guy in front of him spelled. You know what I'm saying? So we don't wear guys down throughout the course of the game or throughout the course of the season because it does weigh on with all the practices and all the snaps that you can play. And so it's kind of strategically done to keep guys fresh, but it's mainly if a guy on that practice field earned the right to go out there, we're going to put him out there because you just never know what's going to happen. We was here, I think our first year, we ended up getting 3 or 4 safeties hurt. Last year we had, when we played in the bowl game, let's go back to South Florida. The second half of South Florida, we was down to our 6 or 7 safeties. So if these guys never have the opportunity to go out there on the field and get those live game reps, and then someone gets hurt and then you put them out there and they're in the fire, that's not fair to that individual. So we're going to put those guys in those situations in more of a controlled environment based on the flow of the game, and then they'll have those game reps ready when it is their time to go out there.
You talked about the back-to-backs. That was Tremont and Malachi, right? The back-to-back sacks that you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah, just Malachi, for a younger, we heard a lot about him in the preseason, that he was kind of ready to make that step up and be a regular contributor. What did you like about that play from him?
Malachi's a juice guy off the edge, man. He's really he's very athletic for the start, okay? But he's really learned to play the position. Coach Neiman was doing a great job with him, and I look forward to Malachi being an even bigger part of what we're doing defensively because he's doing a good job.
That's all I was gonna ask about that play.
Villanova, I know you just got back. It's been a long day getting back from Boise. Do you have any early scouting report on what to expect on Saturday against the Wildcats?
Yeah, the quarterback's a pretty good player. They have some pretty solid receivers. I was just scored like 52 or 53 points the other day. I think they threw 11 passes, had like 300 some yards passing. So they tell you that it's a lot of big chunk plays, but just seeing them on tape so far, they're kind of game by game plans. So this game may be a lot of doubles. This game may be a lot of three-on. This game may be a lot of 12 personnel. So really, it's almost like going to a first game again where you really don't know what you're going to get. But the biggest thing, we're going to work on things that have hurt us because it's a copycat game. So I'm sure they're going to be watching the tape from the last couple of weeks and probably even the Duke Bowl game and seeing, okay, this is what they've been hurt on and build a game plan around that. So we're going to focus on ourselves and be prepared to go out there and get a victory on Saturday.
Coach, speaking of live reps and getting these guys controlled environment reps, talk about guys like Braden Marshall, John Walker, who have been playing consistently for you. How important is it for them to get these reps in the first couple games? And again, like you said, you may not know when you need them a little bit later down the line and actually performing very well.
Yeah, it's very important getting those reps now because at this point in the season, we play Villanova and then we're going to conference play. And so obviously our goal is to win the conference championship, and you're going to need some of those guys that's on that second group or maybe even that third group to get you through the season, even if it's 1 or 2 games at a time. And so we're getting those guys as many reps as we can, but also protecting them too from themselves because I firmly believe that if you put a kid out there that's not ready, you can stunt their growth. And so that's not anything that we want to do. So strategically, we put them in certain situations where nothing crazy can happen, and then some of the times I can control the calls and different things like that to help those guys out. But both of those guys have done a good job.
When you're coaching up top, blue uniforms on a blue field, was it difficult to distinguish, or didn't make a difference? And there was a lot of talk about the blue field last week. How was it when you coached up there?
I thought it would be a bit more hard to distinguish, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. And I would personally say I think it's because it was daytime maybe.
Yeah.
It may be a little different at night. The majority of the game it was daytime, so we really didn't have any problems with it. And they had white numbers on the jersey, so it was easy to tell a different personnel group was coming on up the field.
Everyone mentioned how difficult it is to play at that stadium against that team. This whole season, most of the environments that you'll be going into on the road will be completely new buildings, new stadiums for you guys. Was there any extra emphasis on making sure you guys have your plan on, where's the play clock, or where's, how communications are set up as you prepare to go to a lot of new stadiums that even you guys as coaches have not been in?
Yeah, and that's something with me when I was with Coach Miles on the offense at Auburn back in 19. That's something that he always did, even if they had been to the stadium 3 or 4 times. He always does that regardless of what stadium we're playing in. But the biggest thing is just the crowd noise. And so when we're home, defense always worked the crowd noise throughout the week. When we're away, the offense worked the crowd noise throughout the week. So that's the biggest thing, the communication piece. And it's just always we gotta stay together because obviously our backs against the wall. Everybody's booing. When you're at home, everybody's cheering you on. When you're on the road, everybody's booing. So I talk to our guys about being front runners all the time. Don't be a front runner. Just stay kind of even keel. But as long as we stay together, everything's gonna be fine. And not freak out when something bad happens. And I think yesterday was a game that showed that our guys didn't necessarily freak out. And like I say, I'm not pleased with how we performed on that last drive defensively, but for the most part, our guys did not freak out throughout the beginning and the middle part of the game.
Addison, I know that Gus talked, and we talked about with you about spending most of the offseason focusing on close games, winning those close games, facing adversity. How did that play? I mean, obviously, that played out exactly what you guys were talking about all preseason in that game. That must have felt good to see those guys, your guys, be able to respond to that.
No, it was a really good feeling, and Coach Miles, he told the team, all championship teams or really good teams, they go through those different moments throughout the season, and that going to that place and winning at that place is freaking awesome. But at the same time, had we scored those times in the red zone and we beat them by 2 touchdowns, will it be that same meaning? Will it be that same feeling for us moving forward? But I think what that showed to us is that as long as we stick together as a group and play the game, the entire ball game, 1 snap at a time, and we'll see where the chips fall at the end. And I think that was a big reflection on what coaches talked about with the team, and they were able to see it coming to fruition last night.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, like a good call.
Thanks.